Desert Home Companion, where we've got sunshine all day, moonshine all night, and it ain't gonna rain no more, hopefully. Today's show is brought to you by Eddie's Cut Rate Parachutes. Lowest prices guaranteed, no strings attached. Okay, so I got some nice stories for you. We have some musical interludes. This show takes place monthly on Zoom. If you would like to be on the mailing list for it, there's a sign-up sheet back there. Feel free to express your appreciation, if you have any appreciation, and some seasonal stories, a bunch of other things. But first, the news. Celebrity weddings for you. We found out that June Lockhart is going to be marrying King Louis XIV of France. She'll be known as June the 14th. Santa Claus is marrying Tina Fey, and he'll be known as Santa Fe. For income tax purposes, Tina will be a dependent clause. Turns out that Mac the Knife is marrying Mickey Rooney. He'll be going by Mac-a-Rooney. Preeti Patel, some of you may know Preeti Patel, is marrying Admiral Richard Byrd. She'll be known as Preeti Byrd. Preeti Byrd, okay. Socrates is marrying Madonna. They'll be known as Mr. and Mrs. Get it? Socrates, Madonna, no last name. Okay, all right. Jane Curtin is marrying Dennis Rodman. I won't tell you that one. All right. Louis Leakey is marrying Farrah Fawcett. And we just found out that Wyatt Earp is going to be marrying Don Knotts. Why not? And Porky Pig is marrying Yoko Ono. Por qué no? All right. Finally, how many more is that? Okay. Darth and Sylvia Vader announced the marriage of their son Luke Skywalker to Barry Goldwater. His new name will be Luke Warmwater. Hang in there, folks. Not that many people can get married. Okay. Chick Corea is marrying Soupy Sales. This is a tough one. Marrying Soupy Sales. Chick Corea is marrying Soupy Sales in joint wedding ceremony with Mao Zedong, who is marrying Lucille Ball. They'll be taking a joint honeymoon, and we wish the best to Chick and Soupy and the mouths of balls. Peekaboo Street announces that she will not be getting married because she can't find anyone named Maine, One Way, or Dead End. However, she will be commemorating her own name by donating money to the Mount Sinai Hospital's new intensive care unit, which will be called Peekaboo ICU. Sandra Day O'Connor is marrying Harry Belafonte, and she's just going to go shorten her name to Day-O. And finally, in the news, Desmond Tutu announces his marriage to Mark Twain. He'd like to be referred to as Desmond Tutu Twain. We have Indigenous Peoples Day coming up shortly, and there's a little piece here celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day in a different universe. Imagine that it could have happened this way. So, the discovery of the New World by Christopher Columbus opened the way for the Spanish conquest. But what if it had happened slightly differently in a parallel universe? What if Columbus's ambitions were not necessarily to seek riches or adventure, but rather to find refuge for the Spanish Jews who were being persecuted by the Inquisition, including himself, as there is evidence that Columbus came from a Jewish family that had taken temporary refuge in Genoa, Italy. It could have gone something like this in the court of Queen Isabella of Spain. Senor Columbus, the Queen. Senor Columbus, we accept your proposal, but first you must prove that you are not Jewish. Columbus, of course I'm not Jewish. I'm like you. I try to catch a Jew. That's why I wear this Star of David. They see it and wink. Boom, I'm catching a Jew. That's why I got a big nose. They think I'm one of them. They smile, boom, I'm a catching a Jew. That's why I speak Hebrew so good. They hear me, they say shalom. Boom, I'm a catching a Jew. Believe me, Your Majesty, I'm as Christian as the baby Jesus. The Queen. Muy bien, Senor. I give you 3 ships and of course the priests and monks to keep the faith strong. Where do you plan to go? As far from the Inquisition as possible. Eh? And that's where all the Jews are hiding, Your Majesty. So, in 3 days, Columbus set sail with a crew and passengers, all of whom are escaping the Inquisition, along with the priests and monks whose job it is to bring the Inquisition with them. 2 months later, they arrived on the shores of the New World. Columbus. Hey, look at there, boys. It's in the promised land, just like I told you. We just got to get to shore, but maybe there's a crocodile or a shark. Who's going to go test out the water, eh? How about you priests and monks? Your faith are going to protect you in case something in the water, right? Now, the priests and monks are caught in a tight spot. If they refuse to go, they show their lack of faith. But if they don't go, that's a good priest and the monks. See, the waters are not even over your head. Just keep walking right up to the shore. Everything is going to be a hunky-dory. Unfortunately for the priests and monks, but fortunately for this parallel universe, everything was not hunky-dory. Oops. Good thing we found out about before the rest of us go to the shore, eh, boys? We try again down that way while I go see the sharks. That's to be okay. 10 minutes later, a small landing party, including Columbus himself, set foot for the first time in the New World, and they are soon greeted by a native. Hey, look! We found the lost tribe of Israel. Shalom, fratello. Native. Shalom already. What took you so long? We've been waiting here a couple thousand years. Hey, make a longer story short, I'm looking for the lost tribes because back home things are pretty bad, eh? Hey, everybody gonna want to know what's the name of your tribe. The native says, Verves, who knows? We forgot the name about 5,000 years ago. We call ourselves Shoshone. Wow, that's something. You gotta tell me everything that's happened in the last 2,000 years. Hey, slow down there, mister. Never rush a Shoshone. Columbus. Did you say today's a Rosh Hashanah? Never mind that. Come back to my village and we'll have a nice dinner. My wife Sylvia is cooking a nice brisket. The sailors look at each other and then at Columbus. It's no pork, right? Fat, how can you even think such a thing? How about that, boys? We're home at last. And with the priest out of the way, it's going to be hundreds of years before anyone finds us here. Say, what do you call this country? Well, we call it what we said when we first saw it. Oh, hi, oh. That's nice. And what do you call it, your village? We never gave it a name. We just say, hey, I'm going to the village, or I'll meet you in the village. Columbus. You could call it Jerusalem. We already have a Jerusalem. That's what we call a swimming hole. Yeah. How about the Tel Aviv? What are you, Meshuggah? We got that too. Oh, I ate something bad. I gotta run to the Tel Aviv. Okay, take some paper. Yeah, if you want, we can name the village after you. Columbus. I'd be honored. Come on, boys. From now on, we're gonna live free as birds in Columbus, Ohio. This is called a family Thanksgiving. These stories are original stories, by the way, written by yours truly here. So, without further ado, a family Thanksgiving. Maybe you can relate to this. Everybody knows we all come from different backgrounds, right? Our families all have different ways of doing things, different traditions, right? So there's no reason I should be nervous right now, looking over at my new date, Ursula, sitting across from me, so self-composed, about whether I'm holding my soup spoon the right way at this snooty restaurant. Okay, my folks were not the most refined or educated. We were kind of rural, I guess you could say. I know Ursula is very tolerant of diversity, as open-minded and caring as she is, so why am I staring at my own fist, grabbing the soup spoon like it was a crank on a tractor, while she's holding her spoon delicately with some configuration of fingers that I can't even figure out, especially that little finger. Hey, I did earn some points for ordering a decent wine. I just asked the waiter for a recommendation and nodded along like I knew what I was talking about. To me, all wine pretty much tastes pretty much the same. But I can spot the smell. Sorry. I'm going to include this. I was kind of censored. Oh, I'm going to censor it. Okay. Anyway, I've made huge progress in my eating etiquette. Really. I mean, back home we would just lower our heads into the food and bite down hard, real hard, because sometimes the food was still alive. But somehow I'm not sure I should talk to Ursula about my progress. Can't quite put my finger on why. Let's just say it's an instinct. So I keep quiet. So, Remus, she says, looking up at me as she puts her spoon down on that little plate under the soup bowl. I'm sure she's following some rule of etiquette that I can only guess at. What are you doing for Thanksgiving next week? Wow, a loaded question. Am I supposed to invite her or something? Yeah, I'm kind of open. I was thinking of going to my folks. She's looking at me in a weird way that I don't get. I think she wants me to say something. I blurt out, so, gosh, are you doing anything? I mean, do you want to maybe do something together? Yikes, now I've done it. I'd love to go to your folks' place with you, she beams. It's a holiday after all. I'll get to meet your family. You can tell so much about a person from their family, can't you? She's smiling at me now and reaches out for my hand. I feel like I'm navigating a field full of steel traps and just escaped one. Never mind that she just invited herself to meet my folks. No way out of it now. My family aren't exactly city folks, I explain. I mean, I don't know if you'll feel comfortable with them. Of course I will. Folks are folks. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Well, what should we bring? What do you usually have for Thanksgiving out there in the country? Is the same thing we have in the city? Well, I say, we usually take down a deer. Take it down from where? I'm not sure what she means. Don't worry about that. I'm sure you'll like it. It's fresh. Great. What about cranberries? I love cranberries. No, I can't say we usually have those. Good, then I'll bring them. I pick up Ursula at 10 on Thanksgiving morning. It's a long drive out to my folks' place. Plus I'm nervous and would rather get this over with than sit at home pacing the floor and making myself crazy. In the car we talk lots of meaningless little pleasantries. I have to say Ursula is easy to talk to. No matter what topic I'm ranting about, she rolls right along as though nothing in the world could be more fascinating. I hope she'll get along with my folks as well. 45 minutes from the city, I pull off the road into my usual spot. We're here, I announce. Ursula frowns, but only for a moment. Wow, this is the country, isn't it? She pipes up cheerily. I don't see the driveway. I laugh. Driveway. That's a good joke. I take her hand and lead her across the road and into the woods. Just in case she was serious about the driveway thing, I say, the whole idea is not to leave a trail, right? Wouldn't want people to find you. It takes about 15 minutes of picking our way carefully through the woods to get to our place. I point to the cave opening, just visible through the brush up ahead. Home sweet home. I hope you like it, I say. And I really do hope so. I'm starting to feel nervous, even though there's no real reason to, right? Ursula gives me a strange look. I don't know what it means. But she takes my arm, so I'm guessing and hoping that everything is still okay. We enter the cave together. Now, I imagine that if I visited Ursula's family, they would immediately come up to me, the stranger, in order to make me feel welcome. Now, it doesn't work that way in my family. I haven't seen my folks for a while, and we have some family greeting rituals that just have to be carried out, even if it means the new person is left on their own for a few minutes. My mom rushes up to me, rises up on her hind legs, places her front paws on my chest, and begins licking my face ferociously. It tickles so badly that I'm laughing like a maniac. Whoa, down, down. I can barely get the words out. Of course, I'm scratching her ears and rubbing her head at the same time. I look over at Ursula. She's biting her lip. Is it to keep from laughing? When my mom finally drops to all fours, Dad bounds over and nearly knocks me off my feet. He's a rough and tumble kind of guy. We roll on the floor for a while, growling, biting, and on my part, laughing. Once he has me pinned down with the skin of my neck in his teeth, he lets me up and gives my left ear a quick licking. I brush myself off and walk over to Ursula, who seems to have her eyes closed, like she's, I don't know, thinking of something. Mom, Dad, this is my friend Ursula. Both of them creep over slowly toward her. Ursula is clutching my arm. I think that means she likes me. Mom lets out a low, slow growl, but comes close enough that Ursula could pet her. Though, for some reason, Ursula does not. Dad approaches her from behind, his ears still flattened a bit, and gives her a good thorough sniffing. I'm glad he's becoming comfortable with her. Friend, not food, I joke in English, and then translate into growls just to lighten the tension. Ursula has let go of my arm. To tell the truth, her grip was beginning to hurt. So, you were raised by wolves? She asks, though I can tell it's more of an observation than a question. She is one sharp cookie, I'll tell you that. I just smile and gesture around at the obvious. Could you tell your folks that I have to use the bathroom? I'll be right back. Ursula hurries to the mouth of the cave while I point my nose in her direction, then pantomime lifting my leg. My mom growls softly to tell me she understands. Ursula has only been out of the cave for a minute or two. My parents are suddenly jumping up and shoving their snouts into the air. The way their fur is rising on the back of their neck, along with the low growl and bared fangs, tells me something is seriously wrong. I stick my meager nose into the air, and even I can smell it. Grizzlies. 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken. My God, and Ursula is out there. My flabby hands and puny teeth are useless against most any animal. Even my parents would not dare attack a grizzly, let alone 2. It would be suicide to try to rescue Ursula. Protect the family. Sacrifice the stranger. It's the law of the jungle. But tears are pouring down my face and my stomach is twisted in a knot. Too late. Too late. A ferocious volley of roars outside, mixed with what sounds like human screams, tells me it's over. As if this isn't horrible enough, the bears aren't leaving. My nose, along with the fact that my parents are backing up against the rear wall of the cave, anxiety causing saliva to pour through their bared fangs, tells me that the grizzlies are coming toward the cave. I move back to stand with my folks. They're all I have left. I see them at the entrance. 2 giant grizzlies. They're pushing something in front of them. It's Ursula. She's standing up, clearly still alive. Her eyes look a little wild and she's out of breath. She must be trying really hard to keep her composure, not show fear. That's so wise of her. I think I love her. Too bad we're all as good as dead. Remus, she pants, trying to catch her breath. I'd like you to meet my folks. I had them track us. I wanted it to be a surprise. The smaller of the grizzlies pushes a battered sack out in front of her. It's filled with small, round, red objects. I sniff. They're cranberries.
Till then, my darling, please wait for me. Till then, no matter when it will be, one day I know we'll be back again. Please wait. Till then, our dreams will live though we are apart. Our love, I know we'll live in our hearts. Till then, when all the world will be free, please wait for me. Although there are oceans we must cross and mountains that we must climb, I know every game must have a loss. So pray that our loss is nothing but time. Till then, let's dream of what there will be. Till then, we'll call on each memory. Till then, when I will hold you again, please wait. Till then, although there are oceans we must cross and mountains that we must climb, I know every gain must have a loss. So pray that our loss is nothing but time. Till then, let's dream of what there will be. Till then, we'll call on each memory. Till then, when I will hold you again, please wait. Till then.
Got one more story for you about the size of the last one. A musical interlude after that, and then a very short, tiny story at the end and a final musical interlude. This is a story I like a lot. It's called Jack Russell and the Tale of the Lost Cat, and it's a mystery, so it requires the mystery hat. The Tale of the Lost Cat. A stranger stood where no stranger should ever stand, in the open doorway to Patsy's Bar. Patsy's Bar was a friendly place, if by friendly you meant that you were unlikely to be seriously injured by your friends. The name Patsy's Bar was not so much a name as a staking out of territory. Behind the bar, Patsy put down the glass he was drying, threw the towel over his shoulder, and reached under the bar for his revolver. His eyes left the stranger just long enough to take a quick look at his patrons. They were quiet, and they were ready. He watched as the stranger, holding his ground in the doorway, cocked his head to the side as if listening for danger. If he wants danger, this is the place, Patsy thought, grinning at his own bravado. Time held its breath, and so did Patsy, hand on gun. Then the stranger sniffed the air briefly, scowling, and moved. Slowly, deliberately, the stranger walked directly toward Patsy in the bar. That's right. Keep it slow, Patsy thought. He stepped back just slightly as the stranger reached the bar and hopped up onto a stool. Let him make the first move, Patsy reminded himself. Without thinking about it, He scratched the scar left on his jaw by the last stranger. Patsy observed how the stranger took his time, settling in, making no quick moves. Looks like I'm dealing with a pro, he thought. Just for a moment, the stranger held his gaze and reached down, slowly, took a card out of a pouch and handed it silently to Patsy. The fact that the stranger had grabbed the card with his mouth did not faze Patsy in the slightest. Gesundheit. After all, he was a bartender. He'd seen it all. Patsy took the card with one hand. The other hand was on the gun under the bar. Not letting the stranger out of his gaze, Patsy held the card up where the grimy light of the bar could attempt to illuminate it and read. It said simply, Jack Russell, Terrier. Okay, Patsy thought, at least he's a gentleman type. No punching or biting. Unless he doesn't get what he wants, so what does he want? Can I get you something? He said out loud, a nice warm dish of milk. The stranger, Jack Russell, that was his real name, scratched behind his ear with his rear leg. What do you think I am, a kitty? Give me a scotch. There were murmurs from the dark shadows of the bar as Patsy poured a shot and set it before the stranger, who put his head down and licked up the whole shot with a few quick laps of his black tongue. Patsy cleared his throat and, looking quickly around the bar to make sure he still had some backup, said, that's $20. A few snickers erupted from the far corners, but Patsy stilled them with a quick glare. Patsy watched as the stranger reached into another pouch with his mouth, pulled out a 20 and laid it on the bar without a word of complaint. Say, said Patsy, a slight grin crossing his lips, we don't get many talking dogs in here. He noticed a weary look come over the stranger's whiskery face. Had he been through this too many times before? The stranger gave a short sigh and looked around. Yeah, he said with no enthusiasm, with prices like this, I'm not surprised. Loud guffaws filled the bar, and the stranger sighed again and resettled himself on the stool on which he was perched. Patsy relaxed and took his hand off the gun. He was about to pat the stranger on the head, but a subsonic growl made him decide to pick up a glass instead, and he headed over to the sink with it. Stay, he said, half under his breath, wishing the word hadn't come out of his mouth. Jack Russell sat on his stool, ruminating over the events of the past couple days. Events that he prayed he could forget. In answer to his prayers, a young woman in a slinky, tight-fitting dress oozed out of the darkness of the back tables of the bar and approached him. Excuse me for interrupting, she gushed, standing too close to him. But you look like the kind of guy who could help me. Jack licked his nose. What can I do for you? He said in a low growl that said more than his words did. Am I mistaken, or are you a private eye? Close. Private nose, Jack answered. Eye, nose, I don't really care which private part we're talking about. She paused for emphasis and swept a loose strand of hair out of her face, her eyes staying fixed on Jack's. My cat is missing, and you might be the only PI or PN in town who could find her. Lucky for you, work's a little slow right now. I charge $50, half up front, the rest of the job is done, plus a raw steak. She reached into her blouse and pulled out a wad of bills. Without counting, she handed it to Jack. I'm Gloria, she whispered into his ear, which was twitching involuntarily. They spent the next 10 minutes going over the details of the case. Last night, the cat, Phoebe, had been in the backyard for some fresh air, but when Gloria went to let her in, she was no place to be seen. The neighbors hadn't seen her, although one thought they had seen some strange figures at Gloria's backyard fence, and posters offering a reward hadn't gotten any response. She's a very special cat, Gloria sighed. I'm afraid someone may have taken her. There was a catch in her voice, and Jack was afraid for a minute she might start crying. Listen, he said quickly. Listen. How about we sweeten the pot? If I can solve the case before the end of the night, you double my pay. Gloria wiped an eye and made a feeble attempt at a smile. If you can do that, I'll give you something extra special. And she winked. Jack was silent for a moment. Okay, wait right here. He hopped off his stool, landing on all fours, glanced back at Gloria for an instant, and then trotted out the door into the night. Gloria watched as Jack's tail disappeared around the corner. She started to turn toward the bar when someone tapped her on the shoulder. It was Jack. What the? She stammered. Out. You just went out the door. Oh, wait, are you his twin? Nope, it's me. I solved the case. He handed her a couple of Polaroids. This is Phoebe in your backyard, right? Yes, it is, but how? Now, take a gander at this next shot. There was a sort of beam of light shining down on Phoebe, and in the sky above her, a saucer-shaped craft. The cat was staring up wide-eyed at the saucer, like a deer staring into a beam from a UFO. Gloria sobbed. Do you mean to tell me that my Phoebe was abducted by flying saucer people? Not exactly abducted, Jack said. It was more like she had a reservation. It seems that your Phoebe is a princess among her people, and her people are cats from space. We're not sure where, we couldn't translate it. So she's back where she's supposed to be, having completed whatever her mission here might have been. Possibly to bring you together with a certain handsome private nose. Jack grinned broadly, showing a long row of canines. But how did you, you just left. She pointed rather pointlessly back and forth from the door to Jack. Ah, that. He settled down on his haunches to get comfortable. It went something like this. When I left the bar, I already knew that to crack this case I was going to need some help, and I knew exactly who to turn to. 20 minutes later, I was at the door of an uptown penthouse apartment. The door opened, and a young boy stared down at me for a minute and called out over his shoulder, Mr. Peabody, there's a dog at the door. Well, don't just stand there, Sherman, and ask him what he needs. My master wants to know what you need. A shot of scotch would be a good start, I called out in a loud voice. Hey, Mr. Peabody, it's a talking dog, Sherman said. Imagine that, Sherman, a talking dog. What will they think of next? Well, do invite him to come in. I followed the boy into the apartment and stretched out on the shag carpet that nearly filled the room. I was soon joined by Mr. Peabody, who was carrying a tray with 2 shots of whiskey, plus a bowl of milk for the boy. Peabody joined me on the rug, and we spent a few silent minutes rubbing our bellies on the plush fabric. Sherman, this is the famous Jack Russell, Terrier and Private Nose. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Terrier, Sherman said, always the well-trained boy. That's Mr. Russell, I corrected. I get that all the time. I turned to Peabody. Let's get down to brass bones, I said. I'm going to need your help. After I explained the problem, Peabody said, Simple enough, Jack. We merely set the Wayback Machine to the time when Phoebe was still in Gloria's backyard and watch. Sherman, set the Wayback to last night at 7:30 at 1742 Pine Terrace. Oh, and Sherman, bring the Polaroid, will you? Just minutes later, Sherman, Mr. Peabody, and I were standing behind Gloria's backyard fence, watching the cat as inobtrusively as possible, as she sniffed a tree, dug up a petunia in a flower bed, and did a little half somersault when a lightning bug dive-bombed her. That was when the flying saucer arrived and scooped her up, along with the 3 of us. We had a nice conversation with the alien cats, with Mr. Peabody translating as best as he could, so that I could give you a report. When the Wayback returned us to Peabody's apartment, I had Sherman reset it to Patsy's bar, just behind the 3rd stool from the end, at 30 seconds after I had walked out the door of the bar. And here I am. Gloria looked down into Jack's big, completely brown eyes. You know, she purred, with my cat gone, I'm going to need someone new and furry to keep me warm at night. Jack stood up and stretched. He looked around the bar, glanced at Patsy, the bartender, who was trying to avoid his gaze, and said in a very loud voice, Looks like it's time to take the dog for a walk. They exited the bar, and this time, Jack didn't come back. Wow.
tried to give the cat away. He gave it to a man going far, far away. But the cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. Yeah, they thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away, away, away. Can you make a cat sound? So he gave it to a woman going up in a balloon. He told her for to take it to the man up in the moon. The balloon came down about 90 miles away, and where the woman is now, well, I cannot say. But the cat came back the very next day. Yeah, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away, away, away. Here's that cat sound. So he gave it to a man going way out west. He told them for to take it to the one he loved the best. First the train hit the track, then it jumped the rail, and nobody was left to tell the awful tale. But the cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away, away, away. The cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away, away, away. What? Meow. Yes, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. Meow, meow. See, that's Linus asking you to subscribe. Totally. Want more good videos? Do it, do it. You're back. Yes, subscribe, definitely subscribe. Meow, meow. See, that's Linus asking you to subscribe. Totally. Want more good videos? Do it, do it. You're back.
This last story is dedicated to Diane, without whom there would be a lot of leaves all over the floor. Thank you, Diane. It's called Early Warning, and it's very short. Tom was visiting his Uncle Roy in the small farming community of Jamesville. His uncle handed him 2 foam pellets. Get ready to stick these in your ears, Tommy. At 7 sharp every evening we test the alien attack early warning system sirens. Don't want to get caught with our pants down like those poor folks over in Danstown, Lord save them. If we detect an attack, those sirens tell everybody they got 10 minutes to go charge up their plasma cannons. Those things will take down an alien in seconds and turn them to mush. A couple minutes later, Tom removed his earplugs. Man, that was loud. Good thing, huh? How come nobody went for their guns, though? Well, that was just a test. Everybody knows the 7 o'clock siren's a test, Uncle Roy said. Tom scratched his chin. But what if the aliens wait till exactly 7 to attack? There was a sound outside like thunder crashing in the midst of a vast avalanche, and Uncle Roy never had a chance to answer.
Space, a final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
That's all, folks.